Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I am your host, Joey DeMeglio, and the Rangers might have hit their lowest point of the season on Tuesday night as they blew a 2-goal lead to the San Jose Sharks and lost in overtime, finishing the Western road trip 1-2-1. Today, I'm here with Corey Sznajder from all three zones to look at some of the Rangers' micro stats this season, because I know the Rangers have really fallen off a cliff in the last 2 months. But anyways, welcome back to the show, Corey. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back on. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while last season. I think we had you on like March, right before the trade deadline.
Yeah, it was like right before the Kane trade.
Yeah, before the Kane trade. I remember we were talking about that because Carolina was in on that. We weren't sure if they were going to pick Kane up. Ultimately, they didn't go. I think they got Puljujarvi.
Yeah, they did. They got Puljujarvi and Gus to spare.
Yeah, Gus to spare. Yeah. So, I mean, with the Rangers, let's kind of like just start with like where the Rangers are at as a team. So they get off to that crazy start. Like what is it? Like they won, I think it was 18 of their first 24 games. Things were looking good. Then they got the injuries. So Kakko, Fox, Kuylle all went down with injuries. So guys are playing out of place here on the team. And the Rangers are still getting some wins, but it's kind of unraveled for them. What does what have you seen? Because I know when you track the data, you have to watch like all their games, right?
Yeah, pretty much every, unless there's like a lull in the action, then I kind of skim through it. But
yeah, like a low event. Like there's been a couple games like that, but low event. I get what you're saying. Yeah, but what have you noticed from like how the Rangers have declined in their play, so to speak?
Yeah, well, like this year more than any, I've noticed like a lot of teams kind of going through just hot streaks and then periods where they're just kind of going through it, for lack of a better term. Like this happened with the Flyers. It's happening to the Jets right now after they had that incredible December. Carolina struggled through the first 2 months of the season. They turned it on middle December. And this seems to be what's going on with the Rangers right now. They're kind of just plodding their way through the middle of the season. And I don't know if this is just kind of like a dog days of the season thing because they know they're going to make the playoffs. They've been in first place despite this cold stretch, or if it's like a systematic issue. But just from what I've been watching, they are a lot more careless with the puck now. A lot of their goals are coming off of turnovers or just failed clears or plays where they try to exit the zone when they should be trying to clear it. And they just seem to be a little out of sync there. And they're just I don't know, they just look off right now. And for me lately, I'm kind of like after the playoffs last year with like Florida going on that run and Vegas turning into a machine, I kind of look at teams like how they're going to be at their peak, and is that peak better than anybody else's? And with the Rangers, I don't know, it kind of just seems like they're around with where all the other good teams are, and this seems to be just like a bit of a low stretch, a bit of a lull. So I think they can get back. I think they can get back to it. Like Fox has been back in the lineup for about a month now. Heedle's coming back soon. I think that'll be big, just because that third line's been a bit of a sinkhole. But this year they've made improvements. They cleaned up a lot of things. The lines that aren't Panarin or Zibanejad aren't just drowning in shots anymore. They got Lafreniere playing like a top six player now. Kakko's getting back up to speed. So they're fixing a lot of the important things. It's just a matter of like getting through this stretch without kind of nuking the team's confidence.
Gotcha. So you see it though, like you see like what the fans are seeing, like most of the Rangers fans. I mean, there's people that argue and say that Lafreniere is not good enough, but I think he's playing the best he's played in the NHL, even though he's not finishing on his chances. I think he'll get to that point. But with like the Rangers, I know you said like this might just be a lull period where they know they're going to make the playoffs, but they're just going through it right now. It's midway through the season. They're in a okay spot. Like they're in first in the division, but it's really close now. Is Carolina right behind them, or is it Philly that's in second?
It's both of them. It's like four. It's like four teams, right? To be fair.
And like honestly, coming out like starting the season, I expected Carolina to win the division and be neck and neck with the Rangers anyway. So I mean, I'm not surprised that it's this close. I don't know if the Rangers have what it takes to, fight through and get the division title, but I definitely think they have enough to make the playoffs. So is this like you think this is something that they could, like let's say after the All-Star break, after the trade deadline, even those last 15 to 20 games and pick up their play, you could see it happening, right? Based on the
Yeah,
acquisitions they make or don't make.
yeah, for sure. I think they definitely have enough to be a top three team in the division. Maybe even get home ice in the playoffs. It's just a matter of kind of just getting through this and getting everybody kind of back up to speed. I mean, there are definitely some concerns like that I have. Like, it's not a perfect team by any means, but you
No.
look at the entire league right now. Nobody's like, there's not a single team out there I see that doesn't have a problem
Yeah.
that I could see them costing them a playoff series right now. It's more of an even playing field than ever.
Mhm. And so you brought up how like the Rangers are more careless with the puck. In that San Jose game, for example, the first goal that got San Jose in the game was off a turnover. It was Gustafson put it right into the guy's hands. I forget who scored, but Shesterkin had no chance on it. It was a bad pass off the boards, and San Jose took it away and put it in the open net. But like, how has the Rangers? We talked a lot about in Rangers Town how rush defense at 5-on-5 has been abysmal. Like the Rangers are one of, if not the worst team defending the rush, according to Steve Valiquette's site, Clear Site Analytics. You track the rush, right, on your site?
Yes. So it's interesting because that's kind of something they were good at early in the season
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just slowly got worse as the year went on. And I kind of wonder if this is just kind of teams catching on to how they play or if it's just the guys getting worse. Because, like, just from what I've noticed, what the Rangers like to do a lot of is like when the defenseman goes back to get the puck, they just kind of send it up the boards and try to clear it off the blue line. That way they can reset and kind of attack at their own speed. And lately, those passes they're getting picked off a lot more. And even if they're not getting picked off like within the zone, they're getting picked off at the blue line, which means the other team can reload and attack against you.
Mhm.
And that's where a lot of the offense is coming from, especially in that Washington game that they won a couple weeks ago. Like Washington is not a good rush team at all, and they were they had I think like 60% zone entries that game,
Yeah.
carrying the puck in like that. Like even if you win a game like that, that's when a red flag goes up and says, "Hey, we got to cool something off here, fix something,"
Mhm.
because that's just a that's just a problem that was creeping in. That and kind of uh, something that's been going on all year is they give up a lot of shots off defensive zone exits because they play a pretty passive forecheck and they sit in the defensive zone a lot and like what they try to do is force other teams to dump the puck in going through the 1-3-1 that Laviolette likes to play a
Mhm.
lot, especially with a lead. But what's been happening a lot more is that defenseman or the forward that's covering the boards is missing. And the defenseman back is kind of playing in a safety spot. He's really deep. So like they're kind of banking on that final defenseman to disrupt the shot to get back in time. But that doesn't always happen, and he's going to give up a chance anyway. It just might be slightly disrupted. So it's kind of all or nothing with how they're playing defense a little bit because they're kind of hoping for that last layer to save them if like their structure gets broken.
Yeah, so like,
And
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, and like it's risky because it's like, okay, like they don't want Shesterkin stopping 45 shots every game.
Yep.
But if they give up like 15, 20 shots and those are high quality shots, you're like, okay, we got a stud goalie who can stop these, but those are still very tough shots to stop. So that's kind of where they're getting broken down a lot. That and I mean, it's also tough too because defense doesn't always happen in structure. They play that man to man defense a lot, which means you'll have a forward kind of all the way back behind
Mhm.
the net starting to break out, which not ideal, especially if it's one of the fourth liners. But like I think a lot of that has kind of been creeping up these past couple of weeks, and even then, there's been like chances where the game was kind of up for grabs, where they might have been able to get through it, but
Mhm.
like it's kind of just the problems that were there early on are kind of creeping in now. But like I think they're fixable. It's just a matter of maybe they need to like kind of shore up the depth a little bit. Maybe Heedle coming
Yeah.
back will fix that. Maybe changing up some of the D pairs might help, but we'll
Yep.
see.
Yeah, and Hedo returned to practice first time. It's been 37 games that he's been out. I actually went to the game that he got injured in. It was against Carolina at the
Yeah.
Garden. Um, but he's back at practice. He's wearing a non-contact jersey, which is good. So I definitely think now that he's back skating with the team, he's going to be back before the end of the regular season. So I don't think the Rangers are going to be able to use that LTIR space to get somebody. So they're probably going to have to settle for, like you said, shore up the depth, like in the bottom six, maybe seventh defenseman or something like that. But like all those issues you talked about, I was wondering if it had something to do because of the injuries the Rangers were dealing with. But it's kind of like just carried over since Kakko has gotten healthy. Fox is healthy now. Like you said, Fox is healthy for a month now. He's been in the lineup for. And also, the Rangers are chasing a lot of games. You think it has like why they're bad on the rush? It's because their guys get caught. I know you said they play pretty passively on the forecheck, but sometimes I see three guys get caught up and three forwards get caught up the ice or one defenseman, and odd man rush comes back the other way. Is that something you've noticed as well? That's been frequent.
Yeah, if they're behind in games, they'll have two guys chasing. They'll have two guys chasing, but like if they have a lead, they're a lot more passive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but that's kind of just a laughy thing.
Yeah.
But like another thing that is kind of just like sometimes I think the game kind of goes in a snowball effect type of way. And with the way they like to exit the zone by just relieving pressure and kind of starting at their own pace, is they have a lot of those behind the net breakouts, and a lot of the passes they start from behind the net are off. So like if the pass if they get bobbled, they don't get to carry the puck up the ice like they want to. They get plays disrupted in the neutral zone and the play comes back at them. That just kind of leads to the rush offense kind of piling up against them. And that's just something I feel like they gotta shore up. I don't know if they need to find like a good second pairing type of defenseman who can pass, because I think they think Jacob Trouba is that guy and he can do that, but like more times than not, I'm seeing a lot of passes like just totally miss with him, a lot of icings, a lot of just bobble
Yeah.
in the neutral zone, and a lot of just kind of careless plays by him going up the ice and leaving Miller on an island to defend. And they got to figure something out there, like whether it's switching things up,
It,
putting
it
like I think they put Miller with Fox for a shift against San Jose, and they scored a goal, and they did not go back to that. But I don't really know how you fix it exactly, because they kind of see as Truba, they kind of take the good with the bad with him, and lately it's been a lot more bad. Even the Sharks game, like I thought he had a terrible game, but by the numbers, like by on ice stats, he wasn't that bad. But I thought he was just I thought he was a mess that game.
yeah. I mean, that has been said a lot of times by fans in the past couple seasons. I think he's improved this year. But um, interesting you brought up like the Miller Fox and or Miller Truba pair. The Rangers were just trying out new defensive pairs today at practice, and they kept Miller Truba together. That was the one pair they didn't touch. And
Yeah, so
honestly, I think that's the pair that they should touch and leave the rest of them.
like yeah, Truba has such a weird like profile by the like all three zone stats that I track, like zone entry, zone exits, shots, and scoring chances. Like, let's see here. If I can share my
Yeah,
screen.
go ahead. Yeah, so you could present it, and then I'll put it up
Yeah.
on the screen here.
Yeah, this is Jacob Truba's card right here.
Okay, I gotta blow this up because I can't really see here. Okay. So Jacob Trouba. Oh yeah, that's pretty interesting there.
Well,
So
yeah, look at
where's he good?
the
Chance
scoring. Good at
offensively, he's pretty good. Damn.
Yeah, he's very good selective with his offense. Like it's interesting because you think of he's a guy that's just going to take a lot of like bombs from the point, but he's been very good at getting his shot through, very good at kind of looking for that extra pass in the offensive zone, being a second layer, being a complement to the forwards, which is what I thought their defensemen were terrible at under Gallant, but Lavallette's fixed that. I can never say his name. But with exiting the zone, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. He very good at getting the
Cool.
pucks, very good at taking hits, absorbing hits, but breaking the puck out, not very good. A lot of turnovers, a lot of clears, a lot of icings, and that's kind of been the root of the problem with how much he
So
plays. And the rush defense, like this is
yeah,
all bad. This is all
yeah,
very bad.
yeah. So you could. So I'm looking at here with the D zone retrievals and exit. Is that like him getting to the puck first before the forechecker,
Yeah,
like where it's blue?
it's him getting to the puck, protecting it, and just
Yeah,
making sure it's not lost behind the goal
yeah,
line. Like like that's a skill I think is pretty important. Like he's good at getting the puck to the next layer, like either if it's either Miller or like a forward to
hmm
kind of start the exit. But when he has to exit the zone himself, it's been a mess.
yeah. He can't skate. He can't skate it out himself. He's got to have Miller do that. And I don't know what does that look like for Miller. Like, what is his exit with possession percentage? Is
Yeah,
that pretty good or no?
it used to
Probably.
be. It
It
used to
used
be
to be.
very good, yeah, but this year it's kind of been very up and down. Like,
Okay, so not as bad, but it's still bad.
yeah,
Okay.
he's had to clear the puck a lot more. He's been playing a lot more safe,
Yeah,
and
so it
he,
goes back to what you were saying about how the defensemen have to clear the puck, it feels like every time because they're not
yeah,
getting
it's
out themselves.
yeah, it's similar to how the Hurricanes play, except the Rangers like to regroup and reset, whereas the Hurricanes are going north south all the time. Which, like, I understand. I understand that you have Artemi Panarin, like you kind of let him quarterback things and go from there, and he's had just a ridiculous season.
Mhm.
So I get that. Like you kind of play offense at your pace this way, but it's also kind of a fire drill in their own zone. But they think highly of how Miller and Trouba block shots and kind of disrupt plays, which I get it, but you're that adds up against you. Like
Yeah,
it, especially in the playoffs.
my friend said he puked all over the screen at the zone exit stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. So they tried Fox Gustafson and Lindgren Schneider today at practice. I think Fox Gustafson, I think the money puck expected goal numbers were pretty good for that pairing, but it's a small sample size, so I don't know. It's definitely going to take a hit. It's like 75, 76% XGF.
Yeah,
So
I know they haven't played that much together. Gustafson,
that's
like
bound to go down. There's no way that stays like that. Like
Gustafson is there for a good time, not a long time. That's kind of been the story of his career. Like
it's the
teams bring him in for 1 year. He puts up good offensive stats. He has a lot of very exciting games. I think he had a hat trick for the Caps last year. But
yeah.
do the teams ever keep him? No, they
Uh,
do not.
That's
Like
why I was wondering, like, why is he so cheap? He had 40 points last season. Doesn't it make sense? And he had a great start to the season. I thought he was really solid, like the best six defenseman the Rangers have had in a while, honestly. And now it's kind of like unraveling for. This is his stats. This is
wait, this might be Braden Schneider. Yeah, that's Braden
Oh, that's
Schneider.
Braden Schneider.
I
Wow,
think
he's
I pulled him
actually
up. I pulled him up because he's had a much better season compared to last year. Last year, kind of
oh
a mess,
damn.
but this
Wow.
year he's cleaned up his game a lot. Still a lot of turnovers, kind of falling victim to the Rangers defensive system there, but very good at making those simple plays and really good as like the guy jumping into the rush too, which was kind of
Yeah.
surprising. I don't remember him doing that much when he was in junior.
Yeah, he's definitely doing that a lot this season. But like his start to this season, we were like complaining about how he was playing, like he was turning the puck over. It looks like he's like solidified himself now. Like he's
Yeah,
kind of way
that's what he
better
is.
now.
That's what he is, like a 5'6" and a pretty good one at that.
Yeah, 5 or 6 yeah, I don't need, like, every defenseman to be
Yeah,
like a top 2 like Fox, you know what I mean? Like, that's just if you just somebody that's steady, that's solid, like, that's not a black hole. Like, for what the Rangers have before they got rid of Bonino they waived Bonino today, or they're going to. Um, it's 2 o'clock now, it's 2:20 now, so, yeah, they probably already waived him. I can't
yeah, I
see on my
saw
phone.
that.
Yeah, so anytime that guy's on the ice, it's like the Rangers don't get any offense. It's just hope and a prayer. Like let's hang on by a thread here in the defensive zone. Let's block a shot, win a face off, ice the puck, rinse repeat. Same deal with Wheeler. Same deal with Barkley Goodrow. And like you talked about it before, like that third line. That I think I would consider that the fourth line because the third line right now is like Cooley, Brodzinski, and Wheeler, and
Right,
they've
yeah.
been pretty good. They had that game against Anaheim, very good game, very good. Cooley has been great. Do you have his stats?
Yeah, I
His-
do.
Yeah,
He's been like for as far as a rookie go, not too bad.
yeah.
And like offense could be a little better, pretty good at creating chances. Like I know he's made a lot of very like high skilled plays in the games I've watched, like
Hmm.
going across the slot, creating off the rush a little bit. Like if there's a turnover or something, he can kind of capitalize on it. Like I think they burned Carolina with I think he burned them earlier this year. That game they
Yeah,
played in November.
he got the game winning goal
Yeah,
in that
like him and
Eagles
Wheeler,
game.
like that's the thing Wheeler is still good at too. Like if there's an open lane, Wheeler is going to find it and just kind of send a really good pass across to set up a one timer.
Yeah, that's what
But like,
everybody says. It's like his passing is good.
yeah,
So
it's he's still good at that. He just can't like move really much as well as he used to. But like these are fine, not exactly game breaking. I probably need to update this with the last like batch of games I tracked though. See if they've
mhm.
improved a little bit. Like I imagine so. But like considering
Defensively,
where he's
looks
playing, I
good.
think that's I would say he's in a pretty good spot compared to like where other Rangers rookies were before. This is really good, like especially under well, really under Galan in general and Quinn too.
Yeah.
Like in previous years of if anybody was in the spot Cooley was before, this would be all red. This would be more like it would look more like this. I think you know who's going to come up here right now. Yeah, it would look.
Oh God.
I,
Wow. Let's just leave this up here for a little bit, just to like show how bad he's been. Like
yeah,
honestly,
like I was
three
gonna.
points, $3.6 million to do that. Like honestly, Corey, I think your dog can like suit up and for the Rangers and produce better results than Ben Goodrow. Honestly,
Yeah, I don't know how he was as good as he was with the Lightning. Because when he was with the Sharks, he was not good until they gutted the roster, and then all of a sudden they got a first round pick for him. And I don't know how he was as good as he was with the Lightning. Because with the Lightning, he wasn't like a game breaker or a game changer, but he was like a solid player
he was a complimentary piece
in
on
the
that
middle of
third
your
line.
lineup.
Yeah,
And even as the Rangers roster's gotten better, this is still happening.
it's gotten significantly worse, like, as the years go by on that contract. It's like, at first, I liked him. His first year, I really liked him, and then years 2 and 3 have just been awful. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just
But
a not a good fit on the roster too, because
so
like Goodrow is a forechecker. This team doesn't really play the forechecking style that much.
yeah.
So
So,
yeah,
the Rangers as a team, are they, I know last year I talked to you about it, and they were pretty balanced last year, like Rush and, what is it? Forecheck.
forecheck, yeah.
Yeah, they were good off both, and they were, like, one of the only teams that was good at both. But what's changed this year? Can you pull that up here?
Yep, doing so right now. From what I remember, they're pretty balanced. No, actually, they are a lot more rush based than they were last year, which is a little surprising. Let me change the tab. Let's see here.
Do I have to remove this? Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can do that. It's pretty easy.
Okay.
Yeah, this one right here.
All right.
So yeah, they create more of their shots off the rush this year than they did last year. Last year they were kind of up here in the balanced offense zone. This year it's a lot more rush. And it's a lot more rush and it's a lot more cycle too, but that's pretty much all
It
Artemi Panarin.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense because the Rangers they're not really a north-south team. Like, the guys
no.
outside of Kreider and Trocheck, that's it. Will
Yeah,
Cuylle, maybe, that's it.
I mean, this is how you want a lot of the guys on the team playing. Like you want them to kind of playing against the grain, against the with speed. You want them playing with speed. You want them kind of catching defenses off guard. You don't want them cycling the puck around, looking for deflections all the time. But the other thing is like when I notice the Rangers, when they do forecheck, they don't really take a lot of shots because they're kind of content to milk the clock, and that's pretty standard for most teams now. Like they're just kind of looking to spend time in the offensive zone, not really looking to
See if
like add on
anything
to the lead.
see if anything opens up and
Then like I think they know kind of I think they know like their defensemen like previous years like they could not get any shots through except for Fox to save their lives
yeah.
and
Trouba
Truba
this year is
every
pretty
once in
good
a
that we
while.
saw, right?
Yeah. But like they're being a lot more patient with their offense, like off cycles too. They're not just bombing away from the point all the time just to get the shot blocked.
Mhm.
So I think that's gotten a little better. But yeah, they're primarily like a rush team this year. And I remember showing I remember showing like their all around stats early in the year, and somebody brought up that they're one of the worst teams at getting rebounds and creating rebounds, and they kind of raised that as a red flag for maybe the playoffs. Which I'm like, yeah, maybe, but that's
That's
every team's got something, you know.
right.
That's
I
but
would I would put that in that category if every team has got something there. Like I wouldn't go overboard trying to make an improvement because you need more rebound offense.
exactly
I think
like
you need to improve your defense first and maybe get another improve the forecheck, like right or not the forecheck, the rush here a little bit more. Maybe
yeah.
get
So I think this is kind of similar. It's a similar mold to how Vegas played last year, because like if you watch how Vegas played, they scored a lot of goals off the rush primarily. But if nothing was there, they did a lot of banking the puck off the boards and kind of resetting their offense that way. And they were very selective with kind of shot volume. Like they didn't really take a bunch of shots just to say they could, or just to kind of like. But they also played with the lead a ton in the playoffs too, so that's
yeah.
the other thing. Like they didn't really need to kind of pound shots away like Carolina does all the time. But like Tampa Bay, they're kind of the opposite. They take a lot of shots like within the offensive zone and off the forecheck, but they're a lot more patient and selective with taking those shots. Like there's a lot more passing, a lot more
Yeah.
motion with them. Vegas, it's a lot more kind of Vegas. It's very like black and white with how they're you know where the shots are coming from. You know there's going to be traffic in front of the net, and you know they're going to be looking for a deflection or something. But like with the Rangers, I think maybe they could do a little more with the other lines aside from Panarin can do a little more with their Russian like end zone offense with their cycle offense.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that will be something that shows in the playoffs because I mean, I don't think teams are so robotic that they're like we have to play this way or like we can only play this way or else like we're not programmed to play a certain way or not. Like they adapt, they figure it out, they kind of know what they have to do. It's not so ingrained into their habits that they can't play this way.
Yeah.
So I like in the playoffs, like if whatever like the top form of this team is, I think they'll like figure something out.
Yeah. What we're talking about right now, like in Rangers Town or Rangers Land, whatever you want to call it, is like Kreider's advantage at and insert right winger here. Like since Buchnevich has left, it's been a revolving door. As was the Panarin's right winger until they put Lafreniere there this season. So Kakko comes back. He's immediately inserted on that right side with Kreider and Zibanejad, and then he gets demoted during a game. Um, I'm gonna chalk that up to like I'll agree with I'll just buy what Laviolette's saying and say like it was because of all the penalties in that period because there was a lot in that Anaheim game. But now in practice he's on the third line and Wheeler is back up on the top line. So my issue though is how Kreider and Zibanejad have been playing. Do you think like the Rangers need to break that line up? That they should maybe let's say switch Zibanejad with Trocheck and put put Panarin alongside of Zibanejad and Lafreniere. Just make that little tweak, or do you not notice like that there's something off with like Kreider and Zibanejad this year?
Yeah, I would. So I think Zibanejad's been okay. Kreider, I feel like hasn't been driving play as much as he can. Like he kind of just banks on how many goals he's going to score. But I think it's worth trying just because Trocheck is playing so well this year, and Panarin can play well with anybody. I think at least,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I would give that a shot for like 2 weeks. And if it bombs, like whatever you tried, you're kind of in a good position right now. But Zibanejad, I'm not really sold on him as somebody that can drive offensive 5-on-5, and a lot of it is just from like his own play in the defensive zone. He's not very good at getting pucks out under pressure. He's not very good at like I don't want to say he's not good at playing center, but like playing the center role in the defensive zone is something he's never really been good at, like getting the puck out, playing down low, and kind of like starting breakouts that way, helping the defense that way, being the third defenseman. Like he hasn't like I don't know. Whenever I watch the Rangers, it's always somebody else helping down low instead of Zibanejad.
Not Zibanejad. Yeah.
And like sometimes that's because they're playing man, but that's also something I've noticed for a few years now. Like he's more of like a goal vulture, but some of his other stats this year are a little better than I expected. Like he's still scoring a lot, still very good on the power play. But like where it has dropped off for him this year is like his offense is just tanked at 5-on-5.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about because he's like he refuses to shoot this year. Like it's just like how Panarin was last season. Like Panarin refused to take a shot. And now this season Panarin is shooting and he's scoring a lot more. But Zibanejad is not letting it rip like he has in the past.
Well, he's not that, and he's not setting up anything either. This is kind of a problem. So I do wonder if bumping him up to Panarin, like the offense is going to run through him, so he's going to get open looks that way. So maybe that would kind of like help things along. And with Trocheck, Trocheck's very good at just driving play in general, even if he doesn't score that much. Like he's really good. He's always been really good at just kind of carrying the puck through center and just hanging on to it, kind of setting up shop that way. Like if nothing's open off the rush, he's very good at going to the corner, protecting it, letting the other guys get a change or set something up. So I think that'll do good to help like Kreider and Kakko come along if they do make that a line.
Mm-hmm.
But with Zibanejad, like they do have to figure something out with his offense falling apart because
You have
this
you have
like
his stats to show. Oh, sorry.
are you sure you want to see them? They're not pretty, but
I'll put him up. Yeah, because I called him out the other day.
Yeah, so let's do this again. Let's see. Yeah, this is it right here.
All right.
So yeah, this
Oh,
right here is the problem. Like
yeah.
this is okay. This means he's getting touches. The offense is running through him a little bit. He's involved. But this right here, the lack of offense, that's a real issue. It looks like he's kind of waiting to set up like the perfect shot, the perfect chance or something like that. But
It almost sounds that's exactly what it looks like to me.
but it also kind of looks like it looks like he's kind of going as the team does here because the Rangers don't have a lot of cycle offense, and he doesn't have a lot of cycle offense, but he does have a decent amount of rush offense. So one and done, hoping he scores on the one shot, hoping that they get a chance off the rush, something like that. I don't like that's it. It's definitely an issue though. This is a guy you're kind of pegging as your 1C, which I don't know if that he is for sure, but like this like it's definitely an issue, and it's interesting because like what I like criticized him for earlier, he's actually been better at this year. So shows how
Yeah.
much I know.
Yeah,
So,
defensively, he looks really good. I wasn't like when you said that, I was kind of confused because I didn't think it was an issue defense wise. I was
in
more
years
concerned with the
past, yeah,
yeah. In this year, I was saying like his offense has been a major issue. Like I thought he would figure it out earlier in the season, and it looked like he was getting some even strength points, but it's kind of just tapered off, and it really hasn't. Like and seeing this, the shots per 60, it's not good, and that just reinforces what I believe in, like
yeah,
that he hasn't been shooting the puck that much this year.
with he's always been tricky because like in past years, like actually, that was actually the 40-goal season I'm thinking of. The I'm actually thinking of that one year that was halted by COVID.
Oh
Like
yes,
that
that
was
was
when he was scoring on everything, but like he
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
creating offense and volume. But that got better, and this year it's tanked. So
yeah.
something they got to figure out. I mean, I'll say this much: like with watching like this last batch of Rangers games I did, I barely noticed Zibanejad
Yep, very invisible. I said he
unless it
couldn't
was the
find it.
PK.
Yeah, unless it was a yeah. Even on a power play, he's not even hitting his shot, his one timers. The I said you couldn't see him on like a topographical map of California. That's how invisible he was in those games. Like against a team like San Jose, where that's the worst team in the league, you got to have your best players coming out to play and getting on the score sheet, and you got to get a win there. Like there's no excuse there. Like, I understand that there was two bad calls, missed calls in overtime and stuff, but I mean, if you blow a 2-goal lead against the worst team in hockey, like, what are you doing? Like, are you a champion or are you just like a fluke? Like what kind of team are you? That's how I
Yeah,
look at it as. Some people don't view it like that, but that's just me. Like for my team, for me personally, like if I want to win, like I want to win outright. Like I want to have without a shadow of a doubt. I don't want any like second guessing or anything like that. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern. Well, yeah, like back to Zibanejad, like the big concern right here. This is him, how much offense he's creating. Like this is how many shots he takes and how many he sets up.
Okay.
And look who's right next to him, guy who just got waived.
Oh
That's
yeah.
yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, I get it. Like with the Hurricanes, a lot of the fans are having the same kind of arguments right now because they were not good through the first. Well, I mean they were good in October, struggled late November to like early December. They got swept on a Western road trip, and we were kind of accepting like, yeah, this team they're not gonna win like a cup this year. They might not. They're gonna struggle to make the playoffs. And then they went on this run, and then like I just look at how other good teams are doing right now, and it seems like almost everybody's kind of going through it. Vegas went through a pretty rough stretch where guys got hurt, and I think they won like 3 out of 10 during one stretch. LA's won 2 out of their last 14. People were talking about them as a potential cup team. Edmonton got off to that horrendous start, and
Yeah, and then they won
like
like what is it? Over 10, like
14 in a row now.
15 in a row.
And
Holy
like the
crap.
only team that hasn't really hit much of a sag is Vancouver, who cannot stop scoring goals.
Yeah, they're ridiculous, those guys. It's insane the turnaround that they've had.
So I that's the way I look at it. I mean, this year has been weird. It's been pretty wide open, pretty fluky, honestly. So really I'm kind of looking at this as like which team is going to get everything together once like March and April roll around. Like I think maybe Florida, what happened last year is kind of tricking me into thinking that way because that's kind of what they did. But that's kind of how I'm viewing this right
Right.
now.
They always had those underlying numbers though, Florida, right? Like
Yeah,
5 on
that's
5,
fair.
they were always really good. The
That's
Rangers,
fair.
for as long as I've watched them, I don't think the Rangers have ever been a good 5 on 5 team. Like
Yeah, and
at
like,
least since they started tracking the stats.
and you look at who they have to go through, like well, I don't even know who they have to go through nowadays because like the Flyers look like they might make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're looking
Pittsburgh is a
legit.
mess, and the Devils are injured. They have no goaltender. Carolina, they Carolina, like they're playing well right now, but they got no healthy goalies.
Right. That's always seems to be the issue with the Carolina is the
Well, I got
goaltending.
Spencer Martin yesterday had a great game in Boston. He joined the team 2 days ago. So
Yeah.
like
Like that,
it's a weird season. It's wide open.
mhm. I saw Kakko on there and on the stats here. So this is like his contribution to the offense,
Oh
right?
yeah, here he is.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
shots per 60 and
yeah. He's
primary.
pretty much this is how this is kind of who he's always been, an
Okay.
above average shooter, above average volume shooter, except for like the first year Gallant was head coach. He was a mess, and last year they had to kind of rebuild him from the ground up, and this year he's been injured,
Yeah.
and he's also one I'm a little concerned about because like as far as like the Rangers not creating a lot of sustained offense goes, he's somebody that can help that. Like just from how good he is along the wall,
Yeah.
how good he is at
Yeah.
protecting the puck. And it's just not happening this year. But
Mhm.
he's also been out for a little bit. So we'll see if this new being healthy might kind of fix that.
Right. What you just said is exactly how I felt about him in the first 15 games, 10, 15 games of the season. Like I thought last year he was at his best around the beginning, and then they changed the lines and he wasn't the same after that. But then this year he was not as impactful offensively, and that was concerning for me. But people are saying like his defensive presence shouldn't be overlooked, especially on that top line. Like by your numbers and like whatever you've tracked, what do they look like? That what does his defense look like? Is it probably really good?
Yeah, he plays defense kind of in the offensive zone, like the way I see it. Because
Yeah,
he might not create a lot of shots, but he's good at holding on to the puck and keeping the puck away from their own net. And with getting the puck out of the zone, that's kind of what his strong suit has been this year. Like he's been very good at helping the defense, very good at he's been very good at kind of saving turnovers, is what I've noticed. Like if the defense, like if they're if their defensemen like blindly send the puck over the wall, he's very good at kind of swooping down, getting to the puck first, absorbing contact to kind of make a clear or find somebody open in the middle of the ice so they can reset. So he's been very good at that. He's done a lot of good things that don't necessarily get rewarded, like on the score sheet or like in terms of really like expected goals or stats like that, because he's not out there creating the offense. He's out there absorbing a lot of the damage and setting things up for Panarin or for like the Zibanejad line to go out and create for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's kind of like the fallback there. A lot of it gets pinned on him, which is not really fair in my opinion. But
Yeah, I mean I get it, like because of where he was drafted and like you want to see
yeah,
more, but like
that's what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Like he's definitely not what he was advertised when he was drafted. Like he's still a contributor though for the team.
Yeah, he is. Like, I kind of wonder if this is going to be like a Val Nichushkin type of ascendance where he figures things out from like he kind of figures things out like from the defense out, which not really how it goes usually. Like with a lot of like young forwards that are drafted, what I've noticed is they kind of figure out the rush first, and then the rest of their game comes along. But lately, there's cases like Val Nichushkin who kind of figure out defense first, figure out kind of the possession game before they figure out like just creating off the rush. Or
Mm-hmm.
a guy like Jason Robertson who figures out the offensive zone first before kind of going end to end. And
Proving the
there's
defense. Yeah.
yeah, so or like Brady Kachuk, he kind of did that too. Like he was like the forechecker before he kind of figured out the rest of his offense. So I wonder if that's the pathway for Kakko to kind of become the top level player that he
Mm-hmm.
was advertised.
Yeah. For sure with him. That's the thing. It's like the disappointment of him not living up to the hype of the second overall pick. Like to me, it's been too long. So I'm really not gonna play that much into where he was drafted. Like, yeah, it sucks that he's not like that Svechnikov like the Hurricanes have. But I mean, I'll take him if he's cheap or whatever, and he's like a good middle six guy. Like that's fine for me.
Yeah, and right now, if he well, like if he figures out the offense while you have him signed to a cheap contract, that's even better.
Yeah,
Like
that's it.
kind of what like they're hoping Lafreniere does. Maybe, I mean, to me, I feel like he's figured it out this year, even if the points aren't there. But like next year, I feel like it could be like a massive uptick for him,
Yeah, points wise.
just based on how he's kind of ascended this year.
Right. Like if he just does the same thing that he did this season, like just next year, yeah, I could definitely see that happening for sure with
Yeah,
Lafreniere, like finishing his chance because he gets a lot every single game.
there was that open net against the Sharks the other night. I cannot believe he missed that.
Oh yeah, the shark that one that was bad, and then the one against the Kings where he could have tied the game, that one was really like that was really bad. Like the
Yeah,
goalie made a save, Riddich, he made the save, but it was right on the doorstep, and like he got a skate on it. The goalie, that's how he stopped it.
yeah.
He really could have scored that, but
Yeah, the
like just
Sharks one, I don't know what happened with that one. Like he was
that's the one where he missed the net, right?
yeah, like I mean Trocheck like set him up on a tee right in front of the net. He's standing right next to Blackwood and somehow the puck hit the glass. Like I don't know how that I'm like I thought somebody blocked it. And
Yeah,
I was like nope, he just flat out missed it. Like I mean it happens.
right, yeah, yeah, it happens,
Yeah.
yeah, but you'd like to see that one go in. It's so frustrating, though. Like, if it's your team,
Oh
it's like,
yeah, I
damn,
mean
man.
you're talking to a Hurricanes fan. You're the kings of missing open nets and deflections that just go off the post.
Ryan Strome was the king of that, though. Ryan
Yeah,
Strome missed a lot of empty nets and open nets when he was on the Rangers. Uh, we still missed a lot of them. But let's get to the last bit of this episode, the ice cold take segment. Before you've had some time to think about it. But for the people at home, an ice cold take is an accurate statement backed by facts and observations that is solid in nature, similar to a block of ice, i.e., spot on claim. So, I'll leave that up here. The Rangers, I'll start with mine. I'll give you a little bit more time. But the Rangers today, they waived Nick Bonino And I wasn't expecting Chris Drury to make a decision like that because he's a veteran, and you know how those GMs are. Like I feel like they value veterans very highly and intangibles and stuff like that. But he just wasn't. He wasn't a good player in the league anymore, and he was playing out of place on the third line. The Rangers decided. Chris Drury decided to place him on waivers. If he could place Benino on waivers, that means he could place Wheeler on waivers. So I think Wheeler could get waived before the trade deadline, anytime between now and the trade deadline, and I think the Rangers could make an upgrade there.
Hmm.
That's my ice cold take for this week.
So you think Wheeler over Goudreau?
I don't know if they could waive Goudreau
I mean they can't actually. I don't know if he has like a
because he's got
protection.
a modified no trade
Right?
clause.
Yeah. So
So
that
I didn't. I haven't looked at the workings of that. I haven't looked on Cap Friendly about how that one works. I
yeah.
know full no movement clauses are the ones where you can't be sent down. I think
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's no move at all. The no trade clause. So maybe he can be waived. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. That's like the one guy I was thinking of as
I
far as
don't.
like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they moved. I was like, they got rid of Benito instead of him first. But I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like 1 year versus 3 years or however much he's got left.
Me personally, I would waive Goudreau, but I know Jury won't do that. Like this is a guy that Drury went out of his way for. He went out of his way to trade for him. Like when he was going to be an unrestricted free agent, he
Right.
traded
Yeah.
picks to acquire his rights, and then signed him to a contract. And he's been with the team ever since. I don't see. I just don't think it's realistic that he's going to waive a guy like that, especially when you need players that have those intangibles that they
Yeah.
claim that they have. But he's not presenting them whatsoever this season. I just
Yeah.
don't. I would prefer that over Wheeler, but I just think that if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Wheeler.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Plus, he's only there for 1 year and probably the most expendable piece they got on the roster right now, aside from like Gustafson if they want to waive him. But I doubt that. There's not really any point in waiving Gustafson right now either, unless you think Zach Jones is going to be like a replacement.
That kid's got potential, Zach Jones, but I don't think the Rangers see it.
No.
I think he has potential. But
He was somebody I was hoping would kind of like take a step last season, and it just didn't happen.
well, he didn't get much playing time last season
Yeah,
for sure.
that's fair.
So it's really hard when you're just kind of sheltered and just sitting in the press box. Like this year, he stepped in when there's been injuries. I thought he played okay against the Kings. I thought he had an okay game. He made a couple good defensive plays, which I was surprised to see. Um, but you know, I don't think he's I don't think he's got a spot on the Rangers, Zach Jones.
Yeah, like I was kind of excited about him when they signed him. The first couple of games I watched of him, he looked really good,
Mm-hmm.
and then he kind of just fell into like AHL call up purgatory, which
Yeah.
I mean happens to a lot of players that I liked coming out of the AHL and in college hockey. Sadly,
How did teams like Tampa Bay always get the guys like any player they call up from the AHL? It always seems like they just do well. Like
yeah, that's how I feel about
Darren
Vegas.
Darren Radish they called up and he's good, right? Like who were like the other guys that they called up? Like wasn't Gord like an AHL
Yeah,
call
Gord
up?
was like an ECHL guy. They
Yeah.
called
Oh
he
God.
he was in the ECHL like when they before they called him up. So they got production out of almost everybody they've called up. But even then, they've had a lot of misses before too. They're starting to. I think the well is starting to run out there. But even then, you got like Nick Perbix coming up, and he's a top four defenseman. But they have Victor Hedman they can slot him with, which
Mhm.
helps obviously. But even like a guy like Sorelli, I think he was a second round pick. How many second round picks don't pan out? And they got a Selkie candidate out of him.
Yeah, Sorelli was. We were Rangers fans were going crazy like when he was in RFA. Kind of wanted him as the 2C. I think that was around like the same offseason as the Eichel trade rumors or the offseason before that. If I recall correctly. I think it was the
Yeah.
offseason before the Eichel trade rumors.
Uh, now Sorelli, I think was the same off. Maybe not because Eichel I don't know, 2021 and 22 blend together for me.
Yeah, Anthony Cirelli contract. I'm gonna look this up because it's bothering me right now.
Yeah,
Let's see here. All right. Well, he got an 8 year. Oh, he's got an 8 year extension that kicks in this year. Damn. Okay.
it
And
started
then
with Tyler Johnson and Andre Palat, and they just kind of kept the train rolling since then. But they
so
had a
the
really good
Cirelli,
AHL team back then too.
so the Cirelli, his ELC expired in 2019-2020. So in the 2020-2021 off season,
Yeah, so
going
after their first
going
cup,
yeah, after their first cup, that's when he got the extension. That's when he was the RFA, and the Rangers
right?
were like, we were trying to figure out if the Rangers would go for the RFA route.
Yeah, yeah, that was when Tampa, everybody was like, oh, they got to get rid of some guys. They got to get rid of this guy, and this guy, and they keep almost everybody important and get rid of the expendable ones. They always figured out a way for a while, but I think it's starting to. I think the well is starting to run dry there. They're a bubble playoff team right now. They're very, very top heavy,
Yeah,
but
that's crazy. That's
they're
crazy.
even then like Sorelli's not producing points like he used to.
Hmm.
Or yeah, I guess he was never really a big point producer, but like he still like their third line. Like if look at like you look who's on their third line right now. They're only one of them's got double digit. Only one of them's got double digit points. Like they kind of
I'm saying
they're
oof, but the Rangers' third line is terrible
well.
too.
I mean
Or
Tyler
fourth
Mott is
line.
their third line center right now, so
Oh, Mott is playing third line minutes for Tampa Bay. Oh wow.
yeah,
Damn, they're really desperate. I like Mott too, but he's the fourth liner, not a third line.
yeah. I mean even then they find some good players. It's just like they can only do so much. Like Michael Easymont who they got they got in a trade. He was on waivers twice last year. Really good shot producer, just not a great scorer. Like really good high energy type of player, but
Mm-hmm.
like he's only going to do so much for you, like on the third line. And they're getting an outstanding season out of Nick Paul, and he's been elevated to a higher role now.
I know they
So
use Nick Paul on the power play. I don't know which unit they use him on though.
I think he's on. I think they kind of rotate him. Like I remember seeing him on the first unit a little bit
I
because
remember seeing that too.
he had a really good start to the season. I remember that.
Yep. Was
And
Point injured this year?
maybe I don't know for sure. Like they're yeah, no, he didn't miss any games.
No.
Kucherov missed one.
Okay. Yeah. Then I was gonna say like I know they use Point at the bumper, and I
Yeah,
was thinking like maybe they use Nick Paul at the bumper. I think they probably put Paul at the net front if they.
yeah, that's where he usually is. That or in the bumper sometimes, like just to get him open. They move guys around a lot, but
Crazy.
yeah, they like they have that. They kept that train going for as long as they could, and even then, they still might make the playoffs. Like it's not complete. The door's not shut on them,
It's like
but
almost 10 years straight of them like just calling up
yeah,
guys,
yeah,
reusing and recycling guys and stuff like that.
yeah. The cap finally got them.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know which one that they had to cut bait with that was the worst. I think they got rid when they traded Tyler Johnson. I think that was the right move because I was
Yeah,
looking at
like
his numbers recently. He looks like
he's
he's
done.
washed now. He's
These
done.
injuries have just destroyed
Yeah,
him. But like it adds up. They lost Kalorn. He was like the last guy from that old
that's
core.
yeah. That was in free agent. They couldn't hold on to him.
Yeah, and
No
then
way.
they
He got
lost
too much
Palat the
money.
year before. They lost Gordon the expansion draft, and like I thought Gord was an underrated loss for them, but they kind of figured it out. But even then, they kind of went trial and error with figuring out how to replace him because they brought up Kachuk and Radish, Taylor Radish,
Yeah.
and they were okay, but it's like not. They're like these guys aren't good enough, so they traded them both to Chicago and got Brandon Hagel back, and Hagel's a top six player for them now.
Hmm. And then they have Jano that they got in last
That's
off.
the yeah, they got to take an L on that one. Unfortunately,
That
that
was a
was
lot of picks they gave up. I remember scratching my head at that one. I didn't understand that. I knew
like
I kind
if
of liked
Jano
Nick Jano,
if
but
Jano was the player he was his first year in Nashville, it's like a no brainer. But he's not anymore, and he's hurt.
and they extended him too, didn't they?
Yep. Yeah, like that trade was. I mean, I understood why. It's just like they traded for him while he was having a down year, Like he wasn't going to score 20 goals again. It was just kind of I don't know. Gino wasn't going to make you win a cup with that roster,
Yeah,
and they were not good in the second half of last year either.
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, like they kind of just fell apart.
Yeah, rare L for Julian Breezebois. Doesn't
Yeah,
happen. Or
yeah,
for the
it
Tampa or for
happens.
Tampa Bay.
They just
Yeah.
gotta. I think it's finally they're gonna retool probably after this year, but we'll see how it goes.
So that's your ice cold take. The Tampa Bay is
Well,
gonna.
no, I have a nice cold take. It's
Okay.
probably gonna make people mad though.
All right. Go ahead. I want to hear it.
All right, so the Hurricanes are making a trade, and it's not going to be a center. It's going to be for Pavel Buchnevich.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Everybody's been saying they need a center because it hasn't really worked out with Kokoniemi, and they will not play Marty Necas at center, and Jordan Stahl is not a second line center anymore. I don't think Jack Drury is going to be that either. It's been kind of their lines have kind of been they've been playing by whoever's going. They've been rotating a lot. Aho's had a bit of a revolving door on his line. Who's the perfect guy to slot right there? It's Pavel Buchnevich. He's the type of player they would probably go after too. He's got 1 year left on his deal after this year, and
Damn,
if they
it's
can,
already been 5 years. I remember when he signed that. That's crazy.
I think so. I don't know. It just makes a lot of sense to me on paper. He's
Yeah.
also kind of
Oh, it
having
was a 4-year deal. Sorry.
he's having a bit of a down year too. Like he hasn't been just the machine he usually is, but I think that would be just a perfect ad for them in the playoffs because like they need another scorer. They need another guy who can play in the top. They can another guy who can play on their top line. Another guy who can maybe complement Marty Necas if that's the route you're going. Like he can kind of just do everything for you. He's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, when he left the Rangers, he started killing penalties. Like that last year on the Rangers, he's killed penalties, so they could use him there too.
Yeah,
If he still does that, I'd
he,
imagine he does.
yeah. He's like he was their. I thought he was their best player last year. This year he's not scoring as much. I think he hasn't really been hurt.
He's
He's
got
missed like four
2 years
games.
left on his deal. This year and
Yeah,
next is modified
yeah.
no
That's
trade clause.
why. Yeah, that's the kind of the no trade clause. I mean, Carolina's usually on those, so that might nix this idea. But I think that's who they're going to get at the trade deadline.
Damn, that would
The
be a
only
crazy
yeah,
pickup.
the downside is I think they might get Jordan Bennington with him, which
Oh, because of actually, yeah, because they need a goalie.
well, yeah, Anderson's going to be out for the foreseeable future. Ronta, they've waived him once. He's got one of the worst save percentages in the league, and we don't know when Kachekov's going to come back. So, I think they might do it. I think Buchnevich is going to happen. Bennington, I don't think will happen just because I don't know how the money is going to work there. But I think that trade will happen, and I kind of have my eyes on that other deal.
I got to see what Carolina's cap space is. I'm pulling them up right now. They have
They have a lot
right now. A deadline space 6 million, 6.487.
Yeah, because Anderson.
Yeah, they won't even if they get Buchnevich, they don't have to retain any of that salary. That's good because you don't have to give up as much. Like if you retain 50%, you're expected to give up like an extra pick or a prospect or something like that.
Yeah, I'm also hoping that Buchnevich, he's only got 14 goals this year. I'm hoping that might drive the price down a little. Maybe St. Louis can take D'Angelo off of our hands too, which that's wishful thinking on my part. I mean, they're not using them.
Oh man. Yeah, this cap space here. That's I would have been really pissed if Tarasenko signed with Carolina in the offseason because I know he was rumored to go there. Was it like it was like close? He almost went there.
Yeah, I think it was done and then it wasn't.
Yeah, and then I think he fired his agent. I think he fired his agent right after that.
And he went to Ottawa. I think it was on a 1-year deal, but
it's a 1-year deal. Yeah, he should be on the move again this offseason, or not this offseason. Yeah, this offseason, but like at the trade deadline.
Yeah, maybe the Rangers can get him back.
So I think someone was talking about possibly going after Buchnevich again, and I'm like, oh my god, really? Like it we would go crazy if that happened. I would love it, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Jesus, if
Yeah.
Carolina does that, I'm gonna be so pissed.
Well, the other thing is that the West is wide open and St. Louis has won 3 in a row, so maybe they kind of pump the brakes on
Yeah.
selling.
Let's
So
look where they are at in the standings here real quick before we wrap this up. The standings, Western Conference. Blues are fifth in the Central Division. They are a point back of Nashville with the game in hand, 12 points behind Dallas with a game in hand. The wild cards are the Kings and the Predators,
and the
53 and
Kings have
51. Yeah, so
and
they're a point behind a wild card spot. So they're in
yeah,
it.
yeah, so I it might be a tough sell to get them to part with a top line player unless they wait until like I don't know next month, and if they're out of it, then you jump on them.
This like looking at the Pacific Division, like you just see L1, W1, W14 for Oilers. It's like that's crazy. 10-0 in the last
Yeah,
insane.
they
Insane.
got hot while everybody else is just stumbling over themselves. I mean, even Seattle went on a hot streak and they lost 4 in a row because everybody got hurt or sick.
I feel like this happens every year. They've won 14 in a row and they have 5 games in hand
Yeah.
on everybody, on like
Yep.
Vancouver and Vegas. Holy crap. That's
Yeah.
insane. What?
Yeah. Yeah. They kind of go through this every year, except
I
this.
was just gonna say that every year that's like they always start like crap and then they finish at the top of the standings.
Well,
Like
yeah, because I remember people were talking about firing Woodcroft last year, except it was around December or
uh,
November.
trading McDavid, trading Dreisaitl,
And
like
it's
oh
like, oh,
he's
they're
got to be asking
wasting.
out by now, and it's like oh yeah okay
And then they figure it out. They go on a run, and we'll see if it works in the playoffs this year.
they're crazy.
Which
Wow.
I don't know at this point. Like my hot take was going to be that Vegas is repeating, but I'm not too confident on that one right now.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that
they're
with no basis.
yeah because they're injured. Like it's hard to go with that.
Yeah,
I
Eichel's
like
out.
your take honestly. The Buchnevich trade, that's a spicy one because would certainly make us very mad. But I mean, he would actually be a pretty good fit for Carolina, just the way he plays.
He'd be perfect for like the Rod Brindamore system.
Brindamore would love him for sure. He would love him.
Then like I don't know, you got Svechnikov, you got Orlov, Kochetkov there,
So,
so why not
so
have a few?
Carolina doesn't use the Teravainen, Aho, Svechnikov as a line.
They did, but Svechnikov is hurt now.
Okay,
That was a line, and then Svech got hurt, and now it's Bunting, Aho, Teravainen,
they have
and
Bunting there now.
yeah, Bunting's been all over the lineup. He's been pretty much everywhere. Like he hasn't really had a set spot except on the power play.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
he
I
was a
think
good pickup for them too.
he's been sneaky, or I wouldn't say sneaky good, but I would say quietly good because he's on pace for like 57 points. And I think he hasn't really been that noticeable a lot until like the past month or so. Because he was like one of the main strugglers early in the season, but then the last month when the team picked it up, he's kind of gone with them.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of been the perfect complementary guy with Aho, just so Aho doesn't have to do all the puck carrying, all the
Yeah,
setups.
yeah.
He's a lot more than just like the net front guy that he was advertised as.
He sounds like he's an actual like let's put him all over the lineup because the Rangers did that with Goudreau and they made
Yeah,
it out like he was able to do that, but he really wasn't at all.
yeah, we have that. We have that. We have Stefan Nason who can do that too.
Yeah.
But like, we just need a lot more. Like, they need like one more kind of big piece up
Mm-hmm.
front. Because like right now, what they have is good. It can get by, but like you just want more for insurance to kind of get everybody back in their own spot.
Yeah.
Then I wonder if they can see if I wonder if they can try to find a trade for Cook and Niemi, but that's just me talking.
Mm-hmm. Well, Buchnevich and Binnington would certainly put them in a good spot for sure. Like because you'd get the goalie and then you'd get the top line right winger for
Yeah.
Aho. Oh, God.
Yeah, then I'm also thinking like, do you punt this year or I don't know yet,
Yeah.
but now that we're finally seeing like who's going to be available and who isn't, I think we kind of have a good idea instead of
Mhm.
just trying to like give up a first round pick for like Elias Lindholm or something.
Yeah, yeah, or Sean Monahan. I heard
Yeah,
that was gonna happen. That's crazy. That guy's gonna get a first round pick.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is insane.
yeah, the asking price is ridiculous. Well,
Mhm.
anyways, Corey, we're gonna wrap this one up. Thanks so much for coming on again and showing us the stats. I like how you use the alternate logos. Like I like the Liberty logo, of course. And
Yeah,
like
some people like those, some people don't. Like it's
it's
divisive. I
fresh. No,
like
I
it.
like it. It's fresh. It's different. I like it.
That was always my favorite Rangers logo when I was a
Yeah.
kid. So like and I'm the one that makes the charts, so I can do what I want.
That's right. Got to put your foot down. All right. Well, anyways, Ice Cold Takes fans, thanks so much for listening. See you guys next week.